Hello there. Happy Sunday. I'm happy you're here. Convinced my madre to send me some money. So, we're gonna do champagne Sundays where we sip mimosas. So we've got this $4 watermelon cucumber juice. Sorry. Mic goes out. But at home mimosas kind of are the best. Why? Well, obviously because you bitch ain't shit. Also, we've got Obalaji's boots. Obalaji, if you're watching this, you're my favorite. I love these boots so much. I adore these boots. Also, ladies, Obalaji is a very handsome single bachelor. A bit too religious for my taste, but very kind, ethical. Woo! Bitch, turn up. So actually, this is kind of interesting a little. We've got this German brand, Schloss Berich. Also, man, I think I'm gonna stick with this brand probably the whole week. It costs $5. I'm for sure moving to Germany, guys. Like, everything German is better. Of all the Europeans I've seen, German men are like the most attractive. They're so clean and like kind. I don't know if German men like Ethiopian women, but if they do, holler at me. I know Dee does. Anyway, so today I want to talk about what it means to like stand for something. Like what it means to form an opinion, like to say I like this or I believe in this. The whole point of people wearing the cross and like claiming to be like Protestant and Christian and extra religious, the point of that is like they're literally advocating to you what their values are and what their values are not. So like they're saying, I stand for this and I do not stand for that. That is the whole point of people having these like religious books, code of ethics, okay, having like rules and systems in place. Now the deal with like imperialism and colonialism, which I really just think, and I've been saying this for a while, I've understood this for like at least 10 years, but I feel like now with social media and just having so many, well not so many, but a few black people who are just so highly educated, like Joy DeGruy, who has like a master's in social work and therapy or something, and then having like FD Signifier, who was like a PhD in either like African American studies, or really having like African American studies PhDs who get on Twitter and like debunk facts and you know what I'm saying? Like they are spitting knowledge and these like tidbits that make it easier for people to understand stuff, and then having like Khadijah come on and do like those long form essays kind of explaining trends in social media and pop culture. We are really starting to build like an educated class of youth in terms of like pop culture and really quite a lot of things. And I think with the Queen passing, now we're getting into politics. Like that's kind of what we're talking about when people are talking about politics. They're talking about what they stand for and what they do not. Like the people who are saying we are pro-socialism are saying we are anti-capitalism. Like you can't just be like, I am pro-capitalism and pro-socialism. This is another reason why you have to like get on the train of like not everyone is going to like you. There's going to be people who do like you and then people who do not like you. So that's why when some people don't understand, especially like black men, when their white friends are saying, I don't like black women, what they're kind of saying is also like they don't like black men either. Like they're saying they don't like black people, and you are black, so they're like kind of telling you that they don't like you. You can't separate yourself from the concept. Like black women did not invent race, and racism didn't form in this place of like, okay, black women are on this separate part where, you know, in the plantation the black women were over there and they were like, oh, those nigger bitches, and then the black men were at the football game. Like, that's not how it works, sir. Okay, like, the only reason that black women were there was to create more slaves. That was the whole reason. There wasn't another thing. Like, there weren't really any politics around black women, because remember, like, women couldn't even vote yet. So in terms of like humanhood, it was black men who were I mean, black women weren't even really nothing, right? But in terms of power, men have always had more power, and so all of the dehumanization that happened to the black people is really in relation to the black men. Black women have gotten power and have done shit and have talked about things and have built stuff, but specifically it's way more important to talk about black men. So this is important because what Brett Cooper and the other like white people who are saying, I can't believe you're degrading Queen Elizabeth. Oh my God, she was all these things, and they keep inserting these identities, mothers, grandmothers, humanitarian, whatever they will say. Like, the people create these narratives about what good and bad people are, and I've said this and I'll say it before. All people, every single human is capable of good and bad, and in their lives, every person is going to do some good stuff and some bad stuff. What you can do as an adult is just try to do more good things than bad things, because like that's the nice thing to do, especially if you like know better. But you also have to just kind of give a little space, because some people really don't know better. Some people don't know better. There's a lot of people who do not know how to function under capitalism. You can be mad about it. You can have your feelings. You can, however you feel about it, your feelings are valid, but like some people just don't know how. Otherwise they would be doing it. Otherwise we'd have a lot of other people who were wealthy in this country, and we don't. And there's tons of content, books and all this shit out right now. So you might be like, I don't get it. So like, why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I don't have any aspiration to be a part of the uber wealthy class. I do have an aspiration to make enough money so that I can retire, which honestly, in all reality, I'd actually already done that successfully. It's just that my family members decided that they wanted to take that wealth, and they did it. So instead of me retiring, they have now retired. So my plan did work, and it benefited quite a lot of people. Like 3 people are pretty much set up. That I'm just not one of those people. So either like my plan successfully worked, it's just not for me, unfortunately. But I won't make that mistake again, because as I plan for my current future, there will be no members involved. I am only paying for my own personal happiness and wealth. My hard-earned dollars are only going to be spent on me. No other person. Possibly Camille. Like, if I make that much money, I'm gonna buy Camille a home, just because I want her to have a very cushiony life into generational wealth, and so that Benny will live a very simple life, because he deserves it. Because Camille is just, she's one of the best people I've ever met in life. Like, she's just so good, and probably Jamila as well. They're just people who deserve so much and have worked so hard. They've worked so hard and they deserve so much, and I intend to see them get it. But besides that, I certainly am not going to give any money to my mother, my dumbass brother. Like, they can rot in hell. Like, I care not about their well-being. So yeah, that's a part of like making decisions. I think there's some people who are walking around the world with this like big idea, like, I am so good, I've never done anything wrong, I'm so good, I am the good one, I'm good and they're bad, and I'm good and they're bad. And that's just that's just not true. And also, especially like when we're talking about immigrants, and it's just the most clear example to me. I've just been thinking about it for so long. Like if we want to talk specifically for a minute about India, how can Indian people honestly walk here with their heads held high as though they are moral or ethical? The caste system literally called a specific group of humans ineligible to receive education or participate in any form of society. That's what they said, and that's what they believe. And they said they did away with it. But they came here with those same beliefs, and I've encountered them on multiple occasions. This is why I just kind of like, I say very few words at this point. I don't seek friendship or anything. I just kind of like, I just observe. I passively observe as well. Definitely not in some active way where I'm like trying to befriend any of them, but you just kind of like, maybe like walk and watch, or like if I see a content channel, I would consume some content. I don't actually know of any Indian content creators, but if there were one, the weird part about it is like that is where they come from. And those who have been privileged enough to escape all of the awful ruse of Indian society have had privilege in some way. And you have to really think about this, and really think about this in terms of anyone who was able to immigrate. The conditions of a lot of those countries and places, especially those places who are suffering from war, it's kind of, haven't you seen any movie about war, like, and what it looks like? What does it look like when something, like, let's say if this is my home right now and I were in Afghanistan, and then that someone blew up the building right now. I'm literally blogging to you right now. The building would blow up. Boom. Like my camera would fall. I wouldn't, all my shit is in my apartment. So like, how would I get it? I probably wouldn't be able to get it. I would have to literally okay, so all my shit is in my apartment. I've got my keys right here. Let's say if I were lucky enough to stay with my keys, where would I go? It would take them a few hours, maybe a few days to build up some infrastructure to help get me to a safe space. So all the while I'd have to figure out a way to survive in the meantime. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know. But okay. So then I kind of do that. I figure out some way to get to a center. Like, everyone doesn't make it out of that devastating spot. You never hear of a time when like 100% of the victims of some catastrophe have made it to safety. That never happens. There's always like this bucket of privilege. The privileged people make it out because they can call in a favor. They can get the immigration people to jump their names in the line. They can hack some system some way to get some unfair, unearned advantage in order for them to escape that sort of devastating effect to get here. So then they get to the immigration service or whatever, and they fill out the paperwork, and maybe from what I understand, there's now a fine, like a $250 fine or something. What if you don't have the $250? Well, you actually, your application cannot get processed and you can't come. How do you get the $250? You can't go work for it. Your whole place just was burned to the ground. What do you do? Seriously, like what do you do? What? Like, who's going to save you? You have to save yourself. And that's real. You have to save yourself, and that is fucking real. No one is going to save you. You have to save yourself. That's hard. That's really hard to like understand. I think that's one of the ways that the minimalists are winning, because they really understand. I feel like I've understood this for a while. The things you need, the bare minimum amount of necessities that you need in order to sustain human life. Everything else you could get rid of. I mean, you could choose to keep some stuff, but you could also just realize that you don't need it. You don't need it to survive. I think that, I don't know if I talked about this actually on camera, or maybe I did. But yeah, so you know how I was saying, like, some people stand for something and some people stand for, well, standing for something kind of means that you inadvertently oppose something else. Um, moving with that logic, let's talk for a second about that black therapist that was canceled because she like said black men need therapy, and then she was like she was saying bitch a whole bunch of times, and then she was twerking or something, and I don't know, whatever. She basically was doing shit that was outside the box of respectability politics, and people were like, you can't be a therapist if you twerk. You can't be a therapist if you say bitch. It's like, that's just, people are retarded. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, I really think that one thing that would be beneficial to American society is if everyone had to watch Grey's Anatomy and House as like, in order to enter American society, you need to watch both of those shows, because here's the thing, they unpack the real lives of highly educated people and what it looks like to work in their professions, and the like imperfectness of their it's like humans at play in real society. And I just feel like we don't actually know what that looks like, because people are so familiar with having like this unrealistic view of like, here's what it means to be a blah blah blah. I want you guys to see these boots. I'm gonna try to back up the camera. Hold on. Can you see them? The boots are just so incredible. Like, you deserve to see these boots. I'm so petty, but they're just so cute, and I want you to be like, can you see them? All right, yes, you can kind of see them. We do it for the boots. Bitch, we do it for the boots. I'm dead ass serious though, 'cause these boots are so bomb. These boots are made for walking. That's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Come on, boots. Sorry, so we were talking about the black therapist, right? Now, I was watching some response videos by a whole bunch of like Gen Z people who were like critiquing her and trying to unpack some of her arguments, and they were basically chastising her character, which, you know what, I'm not even going to give critique about that. If you have certain conservative beliefs or religious beliefs that that make you basically feel in opposition to her liberal, it seems like she has a liberal philosophy on life based on other TikTok videos that people included, say like, I don't believe in liberalism. Like, liberals and conservatives have been having, you know, issues on how to live in society for a very long time. I get it. I'm familiar with that argument. But don't bring in her credentials. The whole thing of the credential is like, you don't get it if you didn't earn it. The people who didn't earn it don't have it. She has it. So, like, don't stop questioning if she has it. So, but if you're trying to critique her, and the weird part about the argument, which it actually wasn't an argument, I think it's just like, young people are just really stupid because they watch like TikTok and movies and shit and scripted television shows, and they believe that those things are reflective of the current society. The problem with those TV shows is that, like, there are people who are watching the shows, there are people who are acting in the shows, and then there are people who are actually doing the thing in the real world that the television show is based on. The people who are doing the thing in the real world, sometimes they're like writers on the show or informants in some way, but typically they're not. So you guys are just commenting on shit that you don't really know anything about. So, like, as a person who's had a lot of therapy, everything that she said is true. She was saying things about, you know, black men hiding their emotions and like repressing their feelings and how that's so harmful for their humanity. Every single thing she said was correct. And I think it was actually really important for her to say it, because mental health and mental health care is so stigmatized in the Black community. And the Black community there's only 4% of the whole mental health professional community who are Black. So like there's not enough to like serve the whole population. Now we know just from statistics that like in order for Black people to feel safe, or really any person from any group needs a person from that group in order to do the job, to feel comfortable. So that we need people from low income communities that are filled with like crime and violence and shit to start talking about, to also then get education and get credentialed and become therapists and serve that community, because they have context. They know what it's like. They've lived through it. Other people who do not have that shared experience, who try to serve that community, don't benefit the community, because there's no social context. Like the human experience for like a Black person and a white person is racialized, and we have to have those terms because the experiences are so fucking different. And if you deny that, or you gaslight that, or you pretend like anyone can do the job, it's wrong. Like I literally chose to have a white female therapist because I wanted to compare and contrast my Black experience with her white experience in order for me to gain an objective perspective about where society failed my own lived experience. And so it wasn't that my mental health professional was trained in social justice. She was just trained in empathy, so she was able to see and identify my own pain points, and I was able to describe to her in words my own pain points, so then we could work together to understand how like there was no need really for me to feel that pain and how it was wrong, or how just acknowledging my own sadness, which is something that you need in order, like in your own human experience, you need your own feelings validated. That's a real, and I feel like that's another reason why some white women are doing so much better, because they've had access to therapy for so long. And also really they have Taylor Swift. I don't know another way to say it. Like Taylor Swift has been like the therapeutic bitch who's come with all of her feelings about all the things. Like she has been shitting on white dudes for a while, and she's giving white girls all these tools and like revenge songs to make everybody feel okay again. And I'm saying, if you're a Black girl, you need to get on the train, okay? This bitch has been out here. Like I would honestly encourage you, if you're a female, stop thinking about what any man is saying. Like stop listening to male music. It doesn't matter what they say. Fuck what they say. They all just say whatever to make themselves feel better, but in reality it doesn't matter. Like what matters are your own personal feelings. And that's another reason why I'm saying people should stop watching television altogether. If you keep watching television, you're gonna get these flawed views of reality, right? And it's just that the world is moving very quickly. Like tomorrow you might get a new neighbor from like Gambia. Tomorrow you might get 2 new students from Afghanistan. And like you don't understand any of the cultural, political, societal, religious shit that they have gone through, are experiencing, but that now their entire world's view and really like culture is at your doorstep now. And that's just the way of the world. That's the current place that we're living in right now. And that's it. That's the thing. So it's not like you watch some documentary and then you just cry tears and you're like, oh my God, it's so sad for them. Well, given the like immigration bus and borders, they're probably going to be at your doorstep in like a week or 2. So it's not just you sitting there crying and be like, oh my God, these people over there. No, this is now your problem. So it makes sense to understand it, or at least to empathize with it. And then also, I really hope that all the shit about Queen Elizabeth like opens white people and other marginalized communities' eyes to the way that the Black community is not a monolith, but also the Black community in Africa, 54 fucking countries. Y'all need to go listen to what all the leaders from each country had to say about it, because everybody has something different. Every country has their own story with colonialism. The people in Jamaica, they have their own narrative. They are having meetings about it. The people in Ethiopia having their own meetings about it. The people in Barbados, and like, y'all are thinking some of this shit doesn't matter, as in like, oh well, this is not an American problem. Okay, let me give you some context. Right now, some of the biggest pop stars are Jamaican. Some of the biggest supermodels are Jamaican. Winnie Harlow, Justine Skye, both Jamaican. Justine Skye's uncle is a prime minister in Jamaica, and she was just in Jamaica last week. If you think that this shit is not tied to what's going on and like what matters, okay, believe that. When Barbados took the queen off, they like literally separated themselves from the British monarchy like last year, I think. And instead they made Rihanna the ambassador above Barbados. Like, Rihanna, Queen Riri, is like literally in the position that the queen who just died had occupied for like 30 years. If you don't see how that's significant, bitch, you are really like not understanding the way that shit works. Like, I guarantee you Jay-Z is probably gonna be, so I guess Jay-Z realized that he is Nigerian, because if you heard Beyonce's song, she mentions it. She's like, my husband is Igbo, and Nigerian men are very serious about being Nigerian. I don't know another way to explain that. So you best believe that Jay-Z is probably going to be taking some of his power and influence to build something, I don't know what, but something in Nigeria, and that's going to be the Jay-Z Nigerian empire. Like, if you're talking about who the new pharaohs are in the world, like, these are countries that already exist and have black people, and now you have billionaires coming to occupy. You best believe that Diddy is on the search right now for which African country he's personally gonna colonize, because he is a literal pussy fiend on the hunt. Like, he cannot stop, won't stop. Like, it's not a joke. Like, and he has a lot of money. Like, the Carisha Please podcast is ridiculous. This nigga gets on every 5 seconds talking about owned and operated by a black man. Every 5 seconds, it'll be Carisha being like, I like money. Diddy will pop in, bring me a Carisha Please. It's like literally an alcoholic beverage with Diddy's alcohol that he owns and operates. It's just like owned by a black man. If y'all, there are some people who don't get it. And you know what? I don't have anything to say to those people. To the people who care about going to the future, and especially if you black, all I can say is probably like fall in line. At this point, just fall in line. Or really, like, if you're gonna choose to be a part of white America as opposed to black America, then I don't have any like tools or anything for you. Maybe go watch my old videos, or like, I don't really have any strategies, because all I can say is like Karens refuse to acknowledge black beauty, so you're just gonna continue to be a second-class citizen, and that sucks. So I would not encourage it, but there are gonna be some people who choose to live that life, and I would just really encourage you to follow the path of autonomy and independence. And all that means is just play the game, as in like take your public education in K through 12. If it was bad, okay. In college, go to somewhere where it's better, and just keep improving yourself like every single day. Like, no joke, every single day you have to improve yourself. Like, yesterday, today, tomorrow, you have to like keep planning, and you have to like execute, because you're so far behind. You're so far behind. Like, and this is another point where do not use my story as some like story of comparison. I'm not like you. Like, I can't describe the amount, like, it doesn't look like I have privilege because I don't roll around in Lamborghinis and I don't flaunt wealth, but I can't describe it to you. Like, my grandmother is still alive. She's 5 blocks away from me right now. This bitch has blown through about $8 million in her life. Like, in her lifetime, she has literally spent $8 million. Everyone else can feel what they feel like, but if you're talking about that in terms of $2022, that would probably be more like 100 million, like $2022. In my assumption, like, she's had 6 Cadillacs, 4 mansions. She's been around the world like 5 times. This is an active racist. Like, It's like with all the character flaws, as shitty as she is, I can't be sitting here and be like, well, she's never had any shit. That's not true. She's had a lot of shit. Like, musicians they have money. And you don't even have to be a musician. Just by being the family member of one, you get shit. And everybody can feel their feelings about it, and they can be like, oh, blah, 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 and wobbly, wompty, womp, like, whatever. And all I can say is that's how I personally grew up. So I have privilege. Like, I have privilege, but also I put in a lot of work. Like, y'all have seen me out here working. So you can't be like, Olivia got a golden ticket. Like, no, I did not. I probably did get a golden ticket, but I flushed it down the toilet. And this is the path that I built for myself. And a point of me building this path for myself means that it's repeatable. Like, you could just follow the path that I took. I tried to make a video every day about what was going on. And like I said, some days were bad. So what you have to do is, like, you have to go look at the days that were bad and then, like, unpack it. Like, solve it for yourself. Be like, oh, don't do this, get support with this, or try to do it. And because you're a different person than me, so at this point, the system might have changed where, like, you actually won't have the negative experience that I have. I hope that's the case. It might not be, though. Like, the system might be as shitty as it was for me, for you. I don't know. But I don't know. We gotta, like, we kind of gotta take it one day at a time a little bit. Yeah. But to summarize, the point of this video is that, like, standing for something means that you oppose something else. So when you oppose something else, there are people on the other side who are basically, like, in support of that thing that you oppose. So those people don't like you. This is how the guy who was talking about, he was like pandering to the black community. He was like, y'all need to go tell the black community not to be anti-queen. And it's like, there's not really a black community. There's, like, individual black influencers, and then there's, like, political parties, and then there's countries, and then there's regions, and then there's religious groups. So I'm not really sure which one of those things specifically he is talking about, but so there is no black community. The black people are not a monolith. Like I said, like, even Nigerians and Ethiopians don't communicate at all. We don't like each other. We're not the same. We don't look the same. We look entirely different. Our genetic makeup is different. Like, it's not, we don't have no similarities. So I don't know what he's saying. But I do, like I said before, Africans, continental Africans, are extremely religious. So they are anti-gay people. And that's never going to change. I don't see it ever changing ever. So, and all I can say is I grew up with the Nation of Islam. They're also anti-gay people. So it's not, I don't know. I'm sorry. I was just cultured that way. And I've tried to, like, grow to be, like, respecting of the gay community. And I see humanity in gay people. But I don't support any gay causes. Like, I'm not pro-gay people. I'm just, like, I see gay people as human people. That's as far as the argument goes. Like, I'm not going to no gay rallies. I'm not, like, voting for no topics or nothing. Like, I still think that the gay community has a lot of issues. Like, y'all are out here fucking and spreading monkeypox and AIDS, and it's a problem. So you should solve that shit. And if I have to make a stance, I'm advocating for any young person to go to church and believe in conservative principles. I personally am an atheist, but I can only be that way just because I have quite a lot of education and am able to make informed decisions. I feel like most of y'all are stupid, so you shouldn't do that. Don't become an atheist until you have a PhD. If you got a PhD in something, then you're educated enough to become an atheist. Until then, stay in church, because y'all niggas need help. Y'all are not smart enough to be atheists. Stay in the church where it's safe and the morals are explained to you in, like, Sesame Street nursery rhymes.